I'd like to call the meeting to order. This meeting is being recorded. I would ask, is anyone else recording this meeting? Seeing none, if you'd please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. We do have some special recognitions this evening, so I'll turn it over to Dr. Brunel for that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Happy to share with you, as I've been able to do in the past, that Auburn High Athletics once again achieved the MIAE Sportsmanship Honor Roll Award for 2017-2018, indicating that there were no disqualifications in any sport. So I know that we all particularly for students' memories when they win and have winning seasons and things, but I think the Sportsmanship Award is one that we particularly like. It speaks to the respect and teamwork that our students display. So I thank them, congratulate them, and thank their coaches for their good work.
That's excellent.
It really is awesome, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Winning is one thing, but that means even more.
It sure does.
Special. Nothing like sportsmanship. Okay, seeing no citizens to comment. Mr. Bouvier, you don't have any comments, right, outside of your presentation? Okay, we move on to the student representatives report. Ryan and Allie.
Hi.
Hi.
Monday, we had a soft lockdown because there was a medical emergency in the hallways. And there's just one thing that I wanted to bring up about it, just what I saw in my class. When the soft lockdown was called, I had a substitute. And normally there's a protocol where you close the door and you lock it. Because in case something ever were to happen, or if it were to escalate to a hard lockdown, you'd need to, just be safe. But my substitute teacher didn't know what to do. Like, as soon as the announcement was finished, Mr. Hanfield said, make sure just everybody out of the halls. The substitute didn't stand up to close the door. And so I felt like that was something to bring up, because maybe we could try to educate or come up with more methods to teach those or teachers who aren't really familiar with the protocol, like substitutes, because in the event that something else could happen, like if it did escalate to a hard lockdown and this substitute didn't know what to do, I felt like it would just something to bring up to maybe practice, even as a student body as well, or maybe get Officer Kennedy involved to even make it like a fire drill type thing where we practice maybe lockdowns more often as fire drills. Does that make sense? And then we also had a fire drill last week, I think it was Friday of last week, which went slower than I know Coach D wanted it to, because we were all expecting it. So it wasn't really as fast as, it should have been. But
Sometimes when you see the fire apparatus there before the actual...
Right, and that's what a lot of people did. It was,
Kind of a hint.
It's hard to hide those trucks, but
Right.
your points are well taken, especially the first one. Yeah, definitely. And you did a great job of presenting it as well.
Question, Allie, did the students tell the substitute what she was supposed to do?
Right, myself and a few others got up and we shut the door and told them that it was necessary to do so. And I don't know if we were able to lock it because we didn't have a key to close it, but I just felt that it was something to bring up. And
Sure.
I don't mind going up to Officer Kennedy too and maybe coming up with something to practice as a student body too, because even with the ALICE training and stuff like that, we could watch a number of videos, but until we really get a feel of what to do in that event, I feel like it's something we should try to incorporate, like fire drills almost.
That's
Yep,
a good point.
that
Even
sounds great.
Through the
Go ahead.
chair, even having just a placard in the classroom so that whoever's in there.
Yep. Makes sense.
Thank you.
I hope that was all right.
And just some general happenings from around the school. Last Thursday we had the Top Cop game. Even though we lost, we fought very valiantly, and we did fight for a good cause. Marching band had their first competition last Saturday. They won first place in their division with 69 points. I know the other athletic teams also have been doing pretty well. I don't know the exact scores or exactly how well they're doing, but I've heard good things. Next week, we're having Spirit Week. It's going to start with Hawaiian Day, then Tie-Dye Day, America Day, PJ Day, and then Class Color Day, to then kick off Alumni Weekend, where the alumni/homecoming football game is Friday night. the rest of the weekend will be filled with games as well, and the clubs and everything are going to be putting on booths throughout the weekend.
It sounds great. Lots of exciting things happening. Any comments or questions?
I had seen the score for the Top Cop game, and all I could think of is, will Auburn travel 2 hours to play that game? And I think Yarmouth needed the boost from the win because they've been pretty down about losing their officers, so I think it all worked out well the way it went.
From what I heard, it was a very special evening, so
Yeah.
more important than, again, like
The score.
like we said before, any score,
Yeah.
win or loss. That's great. Excellent, thank you for that
Yeah.
report, both of you. Great as usual. I would now seek the approval of the regular meeting minutes for September 5th. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from September 5th.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote. We now move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the first item tonight, we have Mr. Bouvier, our Director of Technology. He's going to provide an overview of the launch of the new Auburn Public Schools website, as well as Power School and Schoology. So with your permission, I will turn it over to Mr. Bouvier.
You leaving?
Yeah, we have a lot of homework.
Those teachers did it again, huh? Oh, gee.
Thank you.
Bye, thanks.
You too. What nice students.
The one time that I didn't tell them they could leave, and they just got up and took off.
They're well-trained.
It shows leadership skills.
Oh, she's definitely a leader.
I don't know if it's a hint that you can't see me, but for the first time since I've been presenting here, there's a stool under here. So please, just let me know. I know the screen. So,
Otherwise, it was just your eyes.
yeah, like Wilson over the fence and then,
Yeah.
so. Thanks for having me out. Like Dr. Brunel said, I'm here to present 3 different programs to you that the district has rolled out this school year. We have a lot of change occurring in our district right now that affects absolutely everybody, from students to teachers to parents, and everybody is working really hard to get up to speed and learn the new software and its functionality, and we think it's going to be really successful. We put this graphic up last year in a few publications and on our website, calling it Power Up Auburn and labeling it Strengthening the Homeschool Connection, because really these 3 programs that we've put in place are some of our core pieces of software that work between our students in the classroom, our parents and the data, and our students and their grades. So they work between the home and the school, and hopefully help everybody understand things a little better. These are the 3 pieces of software we're looking at. Our main one is Power School. That's our student information system. Schoology is our new learning management system. So for anyone that was familiar with Google Classroom, Schoology is taking its place. And then the final one, Campus Suite, is our new website program. All of these were chosen last winter. Very careful process was undertaken to look at some of the leading vendors in these fields and try to determine which of these programs would be best for Auburn. Power School is one of the leading student information systems in the country, and the others are leading their industries as well. So we're going to start talking about Power School. I'm going, if I go too fast, please slow me down. I could talk about all of this for hours, but you don't want that.
No.
So Power School is our student information system. It is the core piece of software that runs our district. All of the data that we maintain on our students' contact, biographical, grades, transcripts, schedules, attendance, discipline, all of that is maintained within our student information system. It is the piece of software that our secretaries open first when they get in the morning and close last when they leave in the day. Our teachers use it every day, every class to take attendance. Our students are checking their grades. Their parents are hopefully monitoring their grades to make sure that they're doing well. All of that is made possible through our student information system. It is core to what we do. It is our central piece of software, and changing it is a huge undertaking. But we felt we needed to, and we felt that in doing so, we really upgraded in that area, and we purchased a piece of software that is an industry leader. There's thousands of schools across the country that use PowerSchool, including many that surround us. Oxford, Shrewsbury, Grafton, all use PowerSchool, which makes for a nice little cohort of districts that we can call and talk to when we have issues or when we need some help with it. So we started working on transitioning to PowerSchool last January. It is a huge undertaking. Every piece of data that we have has to get exported, converted, uploaded, massaged, made right. So it took us from January till the start of school to get all of this up and running. It is a very robust system. It does a lot for our teachers. It does a lot for parents through the portal system, and it does a whole lot for administrators and secretaries as well. And also, very important, it is a preferred vendor for the Massachusetts Department of Education for data transfer. So we have to, I'm sure you're aware, we transmit lots of data to the state throughout the year through SIMS and EPIMS and a whole lot of different transmissions. The Department of Ed has identified PowerSchool as one of their preferred vendors, and we're going to be using a program called SIF, which is going to make that process flow daily without any intervention on our part. So data will just continue to move to the state, which will make it a lot easier for our data manager to manage that data so that it's not all being done just 4 times a year and having to set it all up. The PowerSchool Student and Parent Portal is the piece that most people are interested in when we're talking about student information system. It's the part that students and parents will log into in order to monitor a variety of student data. Parent Portal is available for all of our students in grades 6 through 12. And it was turned on this week, and every parent should have received a letter Tuesday with their access information. Parents and students have separate accounts, and that's very important. And you have to make sure that you don't share, though. I mean, I don't care if you have your students' accounts, but please don't share your parent accounts, because parent accounts eventually are going to do more than what we'd want students to do. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I know at the high school, some kids had decided that they would just create their parents' accounts for them. So they will have that will get addressed, because the parents will need their own accounts. So again, students in middle and high school, the reason for that, we get asked that occasionally, why not elementary? Well, the primary reason for doing this is grading information, and with standards-based report cards, it's really not something that parents can track, because the teachers don't track that like a regular teacher would track tests and quizzes and those types of things. So for an elementary parent to log in, they'd basically see attendance and biographical information. Eventually, that might be necessary, but for right now, 6 to 12 is what we're doing. There's a website there that people can use to access it if you haven't been in the portal yet, and it's auburnschools.powerschool.com. There's also a link on our new website for it, and I'll point that out in a little bit. It should make it nice and easy for people to access the portal. I'm going to just walk you through the sign-up process quickly, because I know it's very important and it's new. This is the first screen that a parent or student will see when they go to sign into the parent portal. Students were given accounts. Their accounts are synced to our to our computer network. So they use the same student login and password that they would use if they sat down to log into a computer. But parents have to create their own accounts, because we don't have you in our network. We can't make them for you. So you're going to get a letter, if you haven't already, that's going to have some pertinent information for you. You come to this screen at auburnschools.powerschool.com, and you click Create an Account. And creating an account is going to bring up this screen. And there's a lot of information where you're going to create a username and a password, which is part of any registration process. Everyone's familiar with that. And then each student that you have in the district, you're going to get a separate access ID and access password for that student. So that's how they link your student to you. So you will register each student with their individual access ID and access password. and then move on to the next one. If you have multiple students in the district, you'll register them all. There's room for 7 on this screen when you're looking at it online, and if you have more than 7, you can add more when you're in the system. Yeah.
Excuse me, Eric, do the parents have to have a separate ID and password for each one of their children?
Each kid is given a separate access ID and password because that's how it links them to their parents. So it's not, they don't just register them all. And I think that has a lot to do with today's custody situations where certain kids might be attached to one parent, but can't access, they can't access information. There's a lot of complexity around custody now, so each individual student gets their own based on the parent and who's supposed to access what.
Can parents reuse their same password for all their children?
Once they've
they've
created
set the
it
account?
and put in their, all this is doing is linking them in the system. Once they're done with that, they don't have to use the password
Oh.
for their kids anymore. All
Okay.
they're going to log in is the at the top, what they've created for username and password,
Okay.
and then their kids will be
So
there.
once they get through this, it gets simpler.
Then they should log in.
I'm like, whoa.
Once they get through this screen, they should log in and they should see all of their students that they have in the Auburn Public Schools.
Great.
And if they have another one coming in, they'll get a new access ID that will link that student as well.
Okay.
They'll only have to log in once later on to see kids in the high school and middle school. If you get kids in both, they'll both be present in the same place.
Oh, beautiful,
Yeah.
okay.
Is there, through the chair, sorry, is there a, like tutorial for the parents or anything? I know you mentioned the students, I just know that they were creating their parents' accounts. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
kids are better at technology than parents nowadays.
We have a webpage that we've been putting together that's linked off our new website that I can show you that has a video for doing that, and we're putting more information up
Great, thank you.
daily as we go through it. One of the nice things about PowerSchool is that because it has such a wide base of users, there is a lot of information that we can bring in from other districts that PowerSchool has presented, that PowerSchool has videos, they have their own YouTube channel, Schoology does as well, where you can go and you can get a lot of information. So it's nice to have all of that at our fingertips. Once you log in, you will get to a screen that looks like this, and this is inside the portal itself. I will make it known that this is not one of our students here. This was an image I found on Google. So it might be a student somewhere, but it's not in Auburn. So this is what a parent would look at. Parent portal, primarily, most people go in to look at grades. They're going to be logging in, they're going to be looking for assignments, they're going to see if their students have missed any assignments, what their grades are on those assignments, and how they're doing in the course, or their courses. But you can also see here that you'll have access to grade history, you'll have access to attendance history, the ability to email the teacher comments, if they're leaving any here. School bulletin is here, although I don't think that anyone is really using that yet. The classes they've registered for, balance, which we're not using at the moment, but potentially we will. The student schedule, some information about their school, and then some other information there. And you can also notice that down at the bottom, there's an image for the App Store. PowerSchool, for parents and students, there is an app that you can get on your phone, whether you're Android or iPhone, that you can use to create a login for, just like if you were using the web, and then use it to access your students' grades. So you have a lot of chances to access all of that information, and I'm sure all of your children will be thrilled. So it's a nice little portal. It's very clean. It's very easy to find your way around. Along with all of that, another change that we decided to make this summer was switching our special education package. PowerSchool also has a special education package, and we were using a package called eSped. We made the decision to switch to PowerSchool because it was going to create a situation where our teachers had easier access to that data than they did previously. Our teachers can now access any IEP, any 504 data that they need to see on the student sitting in front of them through the same portal that they're using to take attendance and grades. They don't have to log out, they don't have to remember a login into another program, they don't have to go to the special ed department to get those documents. Everything is available to them that they are obligated to see. So that makes it really nice. And it also eliminates us having to insert data into two systems. So we would create a student in our student information system, create a student that was on an IEP in our special education software, doubling up our work. We don't have to do that anymore. A student is registered, they're available in both places, their data flows between the two packages. If a phone number changes, it's changed in all places. And it also makes it a lot easier for us to transmit data, our special education data, to the Department of Ed, which we also have to do. So before, we would have to convert that data out of eSped, bring it into our new system, make sure that everything was right, and then make the change and send it up to the Department of Ed. But now it'll flow seamlessly because it's all part of one package. So this is going to really streamline some of our data entry problems. And also, the less times we're entering data, the less times we have to make a mistake. And that's important. We also have PowerSchool registration coming, and this is not ready yet. It is coming, it is very close, and this is going to be an online registration system for the district. So new people coming into the district now will be able to fill out all their registration forms online prior to coming into the district to prove residency. That means they will be entering all the data that our secretaries generally enter into the database. So we're going to get all their phone numbers, correct phone numbers, names and addresses, all of that. It'll be waiting in the system in a queue until residency is proved, and it is approved by somebody in the district that it is correct and ready to go, and then it populates the student information system. Again, decreasing our chances to make a mistake. You can't read the writing, whatever. We think it's going to make a big difference to how we register our students. Also, it's going to provide us with the chance to use this for annual verification. So instead of big packets of paper coming home at the beginning of the year that you have to review and cross off your cell phone number change, your email address change, they'll be able to log right into the registration portal, change that information, save it, and then it's done. This is why I said it's very important that your parent and student accounts stay separate. You know, this is something tied to a parent account, not tied to a student account. So we will continue to make that point clear to parents that they need to control the parent account. Students have their own account. The next piece of software that I want to talk about is Schoology. Schoology is what we call a learning management system. It is essentially an online classroom, and it is replacing Google Classroom, which served us well for a number of years, but we have upgraded into Schoology, and we've done that for several reasons. The primary one is that Schoology is the only LMS that instantaneously syncs with PowerSchool. So, I have the next slide will show you that a little bit better, but PowerSchool is sending Schoology very important information regularly, and Schoology is sending back grading information to PowerSchool, so that the two very important pieces of software are staying together. So what happens in Schoology is our students exist here like outside of school, or they can complete any type of work on their iPad, and they can get work assigned to them, they can complete the work, they can submit the work, it can be corrected and returned to the student, graded, and have never touched a piece of paper. It can all happen online, it can all happen through Google and other apps on their iPads. And I wish Allie was still here, because she was just saying that she really likes it over Google Classroom for a number of reasons, which was nice to hear. It integrates with many other programs, so things that we use regularly we're able to tie into Schoology. A good example of that is a program that we use for anti-plagiarism called Turnitin, which a lot of colleges also use. Student writes a paper, they upload it to Turnitin, it comes back with a report based on an originality report. How much of it can they find online and basically, yeah.
It's a great program, I use it.
Yeah, so that program now functions inside of Schoology without a teacher ever having to leave Schoology to go to Turnitin to use it, or a kid to do it. It's right in the environment. And that's the benefit of having a program like Schoology, which has, again, thousands of districts that use it across the country and has been doing this for over a dozen years. And again, completely driven online and through an app. So you can get an Android app, you can get an Apple app, or you can do it through a web browser. Nice and easy. This is what it looks like as far as how it passes data. PowerSchool is constantly sending it, all the students, all the staff, courses, and sections. So the minute that we push the schedule button in PowerSchool and schedule our high school, that data is being sent to Schoology. Those courses are being created, the sections are being created, the students are being enrolled, teachers don't have to create a course, they don't have to assign their kids, it's all done for them. When they log in, all their courses for the year are there and ready to go with their kids. If a kid comes into the district and moves into their course, they're automatically in the course. Likewise, a kid, when they log in, when a student logs in for the first time, all their courses are presented to them. They don't have to go find them. They don't have to register for them. You don't have to chase them to register. I know you haven't registered yet. Come on, come on. All of that is done for them. And then Schoology is sending to PowerSchool any assignments, student, and student grades that it needs to send to PowerSchool. So if teachers are using Schoology to grade work, that work is going to PowerSchool, which is going to the portal and keeping parents updated. So this synchronization is happening all the time. This is what it looks like from the inside. I debated bringing you live into the program, but I think we would be here for hours because there's a lot in here. But this is basically what it looks like. This is just a course that I've been playing with on for training our staff on technology in the district. What you're seeing on the page is, in the middle, all the materials that a course would use over the course of the year. So I opened up on this screenshot, Introduction to Auburn Technology. You'll see that there's a bunch of pages there, district technology accounts, technical support. It's all information that students can interact with. Teachers have the ability to post a variety of different types of assignments, either connect, and those can be connected directly to Google Documents, Office 365 documents, so that if they have all of that already from Google, they can just pull it right in and use them. If they're pulling in a Google Doc, it's really nice when they submit it to a student or they send it to a student, every student gets their own copy of it. They don't have to save as and make their own copy. And when they submit it, it's making in the teacher's Google Drive their own folder with a name of the assignment, and every student's piece of work is renamed with the student's name and the name of the assignment, so it's nicely organized for them. And if they're using Google within Schoology, the teacher can actually watch the kids completing the assignment, which is pretty neat. So they can do just general assignments like that. They can post discussion boards and have online discussions as well. Whether those are graded or ungraded is up to the teacher. They can do any host of assessments they want. It's tests, quizzes of true, false, multiple choice, matching. There's tons of different types of questions that they can add there. They can add links to websites. They can bring in other types of files if they want. They can pretty much bring in anything they want and use it as part of their course. And it's all right here. And at the end of the year, they can save that entire course, and next year bring it right back and start from scratch with a course that's already been created for them. So there's a lot here. If you look over on the right, there's a list of upcoming assignments. I put one there so that you could see that there is a test coming in this particular course. So everything that the student needs is right here. If they're using it through the app on their iPad, they're going to get notifications when a teacher posts an assignment that's due. They're going to get a notification on their iPad that something is due. They also have this over here, and you can't really see it, but it says updates. That works like a Facebook wall within the course, so the teacher can communicate with the kids as well. It's not just a list of materials. They can go in there and post messages to all the kids and ask questions, give simple polls, so that they've creating a dialogue that's happening throughout the year as well. So there's a ton that's in here, and if you have a student in middle and high school, ask them to take a look at it and see what's going on. And I know our teachers are using it, and I'm hearing really good things. So far, so good. Campus Suite is our last piece of software I was going to talk about tonight, and this is our website. we have a new website, if you haven't noticed. It went live Friday night. After school, we flipped the switch, so depending on how long it took to travel through the internet to your particular server, you saw it Friday night or Saturday. We, again, I probably looked at a dozen different website companies when we were deciding what one I wanted to go with. And Campus Suite came out on top. And one of the things that we have to be really careful of nowadays is that our website is ADA compliant. And there are a lot of rules for making a website ADA compliant, from some very simple rules like when you post a picture, you have to have a tag underneath it that tells you what the picture is so that a screen reader can say, picture of dog. But there are also a lot of things in the programming, the way that you maneuver through a page, depending on a particular disability. So we were looking for a site that was very careful in the way that they coded and that understood ADA and the responsibilities of ADA. Because the last thing we want is to be turned in and have to deal with a civil rights violation because of that. So Campus Suite not only has all the coding that's involved in that, but they are also running monthly reports for us that are going to tell us that if pieces of our site are non-compliant. And that, quite honestly, may happen because multiple people post to the site regularly, and occasionally somebody might forget something because they don't do it often. So it's great that we have this behind the scenes that's going to help us keep our site compliant. And if there are small things that they find along the way, they'll fix them as well. So that was very important to us, along with having a nice modern design, a lot of updated features. We wanted something that looked good on a cell phone because that's where most of us are checking websites now. So if you haven't checked it on your cell phone, I highly suggest you do. It looks pretty good. It has an updated calendar of events, news, meets the ADA's compliancy. And the last one is kind of cool. It was the only one that offered you this design for life, which they called it. If in a year we decide we want it to look different, we can just apply a new template and have a whole new design and roll with it, and it's part of the cost. So that's pretty nice. So this is what it looks like. And what I'm showing you here is two different views. On the left is what it looks like on my laptop. So up to here. This is my laptop. What's on the right is what it looks like on my cell phone. And I took a screenshot from my cell phone today. So it resized everything, brought the upcoming events up, and if you scroll through, you're going to get all the same information. It's just going to be scrolling like you would on your cell phone. So it adapts to your screen size. If you look at this on an iPad, it's going to take into account the size of the screen and adapt as well. It's an adaptive design, and it's really nice. And I think it looks pretty good, and there's a lot of information in here. And I'm going to actually bring you into this a little bit. Before I do, I just wanted to bring up a few little final thoughts. For your students, they're all using something called single sign-in for Schoology and PowerSchool nowadays. So that means that, and I mentioned this earlier, their login for PowerSchool, their login for Schoology is tied to their school login account, which is, generally speaking, first initial, last name, year of graduation. So, E. Bouvier 19, for instance, is what mine would be if I was a senior. That makes it really easy for our students to remember their accounts. We're working towards this single sign-on across as many of these packages as we can to give them one single account to log in on. Believe me, this was the hardest part of this rollout, was getting our students to remember their passwords, because most of them don't remember their passwords after not using them for 2 months. So we changed a lot of passwords to get people into Schoology and PowerSchool, so that's important. It's also important that if any parent hasn't gotten their parent portal information, that they contact their school office directly. Any of the secretaries in the middle or high school office should be able to get the codes or print a letter that they need to access it. I know how hard it is to get information out of an 8th grade student. So I wouldn't be surprised if some parents didn't see the letter yet. changing a student information system is a significant undertaking, and a lot of people worked really hard throughout the summer. Our special education staff worked really hard to transfer special education. Our secretaries worked really hard. Our district data manager, Karen Berkowitz, worked really hard to transmit a lot of this data. So there's a lot of behind-the-scenes work that goes on, and I think they all deserve to be recognized for that. And finally, I think it's important to note that everybody in the district is dealing with new software right now. So we are walking through this process, and like I say here, we'll walk before we run. Eventually, we will be running, but we need to be patient with everybody, with our secretaries, with our teachers. If the grades aren't in, or if there's a mistake in the grade book, it's new to everybody. It's new to students, it's new to secretaries, it's new to administrators. Everyone's doing a really good job of coming up to speed with it, but everything we do is the first time we do it. We are about to find out the first time we submit data to the Department of Ed. We're about to, very soon, get to the first time we do report cards. So everything is the first time. We'll get a lot better the second time, and we'll have it down by the third. But please be patient with people as if anything comes up related to any of those programs. So I'm just going to quickly switch over to the new website and see if it, maybe I have to close my PowerPoint down. Come on. Or maybe not. Look at that, this is going to be a little weird for me. So this is what it looks like. I wanted to call your attention to a few things. There's a link to the portal at the top, which is important. It also is linked down on the side here for quick links. It says Parent Portal, so there's a couple of places you can access it. I think one of the highlights of the website that we have now, this is very strange because I can't see the edge of the screen. There you go. Come on. If I had the menu system, I'm pretty happy with now. We've changed the menu. The menus in the last website were long and unwieldy and hard to find information. This system allowed us to lay things out in a lot cleaner fashion, I believe. So everything, we have some headings with the links underneath, which makes it easy. Each school has their own website, but all of the other sections are laid out in a way that you can see all of the information that's available right in your face. You don't have to slide over to the next menu, to the next menu, to the next menu. Everything's right here. As we scroll down, you'll see over here upcoming events, and then news and announcements, and then some general, just quick link things that we know people like to access. Student calendars, school directory, the transportation budget information is important, the parent portal, that's all right there. If you switch over to a school, whatever, we'll go there, it's fine. You'll notice that at the top there is a different menu called Our School. And Our School is the school-specific menu. The items that are listed under Our School are going to be the items that that particular school has posted. That they may not be in the other schools. So we used to have a menu down the side of buttons. That's where all of that stuff went. So again, I think it's easier to find. The high school's been working really hard on updating it, and they put in a lot of clubs, and I am wondering who's updating them all. But they put in a lot of clubs and teams, and there's a lot of information there, and this is all part of them getting ready for NEASC and making sure that they have a comprehensive website. And that's great, because it's all nice information to have. So there's a lot of information here that you can start looking at, and it will continue to grow. And there's a lot of features that are available in Campus Suite that we haven't even touched yet, that we will, again, we're walking through this now, and eventually we will continue to bring forward. So I hope the community likes it. I think it's a nice representation of Auburn now, and it looks a lot better than what we left behind. So I know I'm way over 15 minutes, but I'll take any questions. Oh, it's a race.
I think it's a tie. Go ahead.
That's okay. I've got 3.
Okay.
The company that did this is, I saw HP, is that who is on
This is
one of the
campus.
screens?
We don't have, no, HP is, wasn't related to any of
Oh.
this. This is Campus Suite.
And that's the company?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was easy. Now, as a non-parent and non-teacher anymore,
Mm-hmm.
how do I get to see things? Do I just go to Auburn website?
It's
or-
the same website as before, auburn.k12.ma.us. So the exact same website
Okay.
address that everybody has been using for years is going to bring you here.
Okay. And my last question is, what happens with the parents that aren't computer savvy? Are they, or whatever, are they using their kids' iPads to do this because they don't have one at home, or?
As far as Schoology and PowerSchool, I would suspect that most of what's going to happen is going to be done on the phones anyway nowadays with the apps. I'd be surprised if a lot of people use their websites use their laptops to access this content anymore, which is why the apps are so much more important. And while Google Classroom had an app, our previous student information system didn't, and our previous website didn't change itself to fit smaller screens. So I think we've made it easier for those people to access this content now because they can use their phones. And while people may not be real computer savvy, I think most people can get around pretty good on their phones nowadays. And a lot of it functions fairly similar to Facebook and the social media sites that they're used to using. So hopefully that will help. And if I can, so this is really, yeah. If you go to the departments and you go to technology, there's a page for the parent portal that you can see.
Okay.
Yeah. Over here. And so there's some information here for parents that can hopefully help them out. And again, if they get stuck, they can call the school. If they forget their username and password, it has a forgot username and password right there. They don't have to call the school for that. They can just go through the process and deal with it on their own, which is great, because if it happens on a Saturday, they would be out of luck.
Okay, so you're expecting that all the parents should be able somehow to access this?
I would hope. I mean, there's always a chance that there's
Yeah.
somebody that isn't able to do it. They couldn't access our other portal information either. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, they can always call a teacher and get the same information
Sure.
if they need to. So,
Okay, thank you.
I have a few
Yes.
questions
Sure.
and comments. First question was the parent portal, if that was the same as that PowerSchool login that you had talked about before. So
This
that
is the
was-
parent portal. So,
Okay.
yeah, so it says student and parent sign in. It is the same screen for both students and parents to sign in. So,
Okay.
it's PowerSchool's parent-student portal.
So if I signed in through the website, I could see my kids' grades and all of that? Is that the same?
It's separate from the website, which is the whole this whole campus suite thing. It's its own website, which again is up at the top here. You can get to it from the top.
So you can you can click on the website, you can click on that where it says portal, and you'll get right to that screen to sign in.
Oh, okay.
Or I would suggest you just go to the to whatever app store you use and download the app. I think it's much easier for everyone. You'll get notifications. I think it's a nice way to deal with it.
Okay, all right. Also, I know you said you're wondering who is doing these updates and everything. This is part of our strategic plan that we're going to roll out. It was one of the major things we had worked on and built up, and it's refreshing to see that we're this far along already, and it hasn't even been rolled out yet. But one of the main concerns was who is going to update all these clubs and everything else. So
Yeah.
do we have a plan for that?
We're
It
going-
can't fall on you, we know
No,
that,
it
so-
can't fall on me. And I mean, obviously, we help everybody, and we do a lot of it, and my department does. But we train people within the district schools as well. We're going to look at our technology facilitators as people that can do a lot of these updates. We train our principals typically. We do have to be careful, because we have to make sure that the people we train understand ADA, because we don't want to, it can't be like, everybody go ahead and edit your pages. We're going to have to put them through a training process so that they understand what they can and can't do as far as ADA is concerned. But there are going to be people in each building that are doing it. We were very fortunate that the person that we hired this summer to be part of my technology team, and I think you met her a couple of weeks ago, Maureen Elliott, is a former web designer in her previous career. So she has been wonderful and understands this on a level that I do not. So she's great as well. So we have a lot of expertise, and we'll be able to keep it up. And we've already, like I said, we had Spencer Kennard and Melissa LeBaume. They are the ones that did that high school on a Friday. So they were able to do all of those club pages and build them on a Friday. So it's not hard, and they're definitely trainable.
I
to
stumbled
get done.
upon this on a Sunday afternoon. I thought I was at the wrong school. I couldn't believe it. I was all frazzled. But I love it. It was very easy to get around. And then one last thing. My daughter definitely handed me her iPad yesterday and said, "Mom, sign this box." And I'm pretty sure she set up my account. She said, "You just got to sign your name right here." And I'm like, whatever. So, yeah.
In that
I need to
event-
call you and find out how to fix
In the
that.
event that your student has created your account, you can forget your username and password and have them send you a new password and change your password. And then yeah. And as long as they don't know your email password.
Sixth grade.
Yeah.
Okay.
To add to that, has there been any, I know a lot of other districts use this, that there's nothing security-wise that if a student did get their parent's password, that they can get to something that they shouldn't?
No, all they're going to see right now, especially, they can't write anything. So
Okay.
all they're going to see is just the data on themselves or their brother or sister. So
Okay, great.
their grades, the attendance. There's nothing that they can physically change in there.
Okay.
They can't go in and change a grade or mark themselves present or any of that. And they can't change any of the contact information yet. So that'll come with the registration piece
Okay, great.
when we're ready to roll that out.
Thank you.
So it should be pretty secure.
Thank you.
But it's good habit. We don't want them pretending to be you.
You could be signing checks you don't know about.
Any other comments or questions?
No, just thank you for the presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
It's really
Oh, no
thorough,
problem.
and you can tell that you put a lot of thought into the applications that you selected, and now I want to go home and take a look at all of the sites.
Good, good. Please do. It's an exciting time.
Thank you for your efforts, for the presentation, and thank those who are working behind the scenes. You said there were a lot of people involved.
Absolutely.
And right throughout, including the ones who were working on that Friday to update all the high school sites. So thank you to everyone who's sort of gotten this off the ground.
Thanks. I will
Thank
make
you.
sure everyone knows it, and they do. They know.
Through the chair, just to be sure to give kudos to Eric. He's done, as many of you recognize, lots of work investigating this, and it's been being built over time. So he, Karen, Maureen, Steve, lots of people in this school, so thanks. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again. If it doesn't work, we know who to come after.
Yeah.
If it plugs in and it doesn't work, they're coming after me.
You're used to that, right?
Yeah. Eric, how long have you been with us now?
I believe it's my 13th year.
Yeah. You've been wonderful for the district.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a
As I remember when you came, we were just starting out on some of these things, and you had all these
very
people
easy
looking.
district to work.
Well, thank you for coming to Auburn way back when.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along.
So why don't you heard the great news, actually, which was news to me too, that Ryan had indicated that our students, they had their first band competition on Saturday, came in first in their division, which is wonderful to hear. As you can see, they have a pretty aggressive schedule, most taking place on Saturdays or even Sundays. There is one tomorrow night. They're actually going tomorrow midday out to the Big E for the Massachusetts Day, where they present. So kudos to our kids that the band program just continues to grow by leaps and bounds. So really exciting. And building on that, and I think that we're going to see our band program for many, many years to come continue to grow and really thrive, because based on the enrollment in the strings and band program at Swanson, as you see here by this chart, where we had 46 students, or 22% of enrollment back in the 14-15 school year, we now have 140 band students, or 67%, so a full two-thirds of our students participating in band or the strings program, which is really remarkable. So kudos to all of our music, the teachers, the parents for their support, and the kids for their enthusiasm. It's really great.
It really is.
I have to say, when I went to Auburn, our band program, the conductor had to play an instrument himself because there were maybe 7 of them. So,
Oh, wow. That must have been really a long time ago.
yeah, it was fun to watch. But
So something slightly less exciting, it's hard to believe that we're already beginning the budgeting process for 2020, having just really gotten underway in 2019. As you see in your packet, there is a pretty aggressive schedule, similar to what we keep every year. Administrators will be presenting their first round of budgets by October 2nd, and we will be presenting to all of you on November 13th and 14th, just a couple short months away that we'll be getting them to you. So I would ask you, if you have any tonight, certainly to share, but any budgeting priorities, and I did note on here what the priorities have been in the past. Obviously, student safety, student achievement, class size, technology, making sure our textbooks maintain being up to date, educator evaluation, professional development, and last but certainly not least, the implementation of the strategic plan. So if any others come to mind, please share them. We will pass them on to the leadership teams that develop their budgets. The Chamber of Commerce golf tournament wasn't as bright and sunny as it has been some years. It was misting that day, but I did get a chance to go and wave my good luck to all of the players. There was a full contingency of them. And as noted in here, approximately $294,000 since 1995 has been raised through this organization in this golf tournament, going directly to scholarships and to grants for our teachers. So we had a recent meeting of the Chamber of Commerce School Business Partnership just last week, and I thank them again for their generosity on such an ongoing basis. So really exciting.
That's wonderful.
Sure is. We now move on to new business.
So just wanted to make you aware, the only negotiation that we're set to do for this school year is the cafeteria workers. We've not yet received notification from them. That typically doesn't come until November. But just wanted to put it out there for your consideration. If any member wanted to join us, we would certainly welcome you. Dr. Lozay, Mrs. Worsbicky, and I are happy to do it on our own. You can talk about it tonight or push off to another meeting. It's certainly up to you. And again, they've not notified us, so I don't anticipate that to come probably for a couple more months.
Why don't we give that some thought between now and the next meeting? If it's something that someone's looking to step up and get involved with, bring it forth at the next meeting. Gail, you must miss the negotiating table.
I'm laughing because they probably meet at 5 a.m. or somehow like that.
So you get there at 6.
Yeah, I think I missed that.
So the MSBA outreached us. They sent an email. They're looking to they have established a program, a post-occupancy pilot program, where they're going to go out and visit schools, and they've asked to come and see Auburn Middle School. I've already replied back that we would welcome the visit. It will be sometime between late October and February. So as soon as I hear, I will let you know. And obviously the team responsible on the internal part, as well as Mr. Imsey, and perhaps if they want to see SBC members, I'll notify them as well once we have a date. We did just recently get notified that we will be on for the final closeout. The audit, am I taking something from your section?
No, you're fine.
The audit, MSBA, the final audit came. It's been approved by all of us. Mr. Scobie will sign off on it tonight. So at the October 31st MSBA board meeting, it will be considered a closed-out project, which is
Great.
Wonderful news. And then I noted in here my goals for the current school year. As you can see, they focus, some of them carry themes that I've had in other years. Really, the top one for student learning around social, emotional, and mental health supports of our students. And as I indicated on the back side of this, although I list these as my goals, they really are district goals, and I couldn't accomplish them on my own. It's the leadership team and so many others who I work with and collaborate with. We are looking to do, and this was actually been in discussions with a parent and actually now a second parent, around a Start the Conversation series about helping parents to help them parent their children, particularly teens and tweens, and a lot of times around some of these mental health, social, emotional issues. So we're putting together one, and we actually have our first one which will take place this year on October 11th, which is called The Secret Lives of Teens and Tweens by John Madelman. So notification, I think, went out in our last email about that. This really is building on the two programs we had last year, the Screenagers one and the Chris Herron program. So I think it stands, has the potential to really be positive. In terms of professional practice, really about making sure that I remain as visible as I try to be, getting in classrooms, not only formally for learning walks, but even the informal things to go in and see and enjoy the love of learning that takes place not only in classrooms, but on the field or in bands and such. So I look forward to doing that. And then obviously in terms of district improvement goals, the strategic plan is a pretty robust plan that's been created. So as a team, and again, that's not just me, it includes staff as well as parents and community members, for us to really continue to push that forward in the direction that we received from the 140 people who joined us. And then just to be sure that we continue some work, if you remember, we did a lot of work around start time. We hope to bring a recommendation to you. That work continues. The youth opioid prevention, the chronic absenteeism team that we have as leadership. DESE has just recently added that as an accountability measure. We've been paying attention to it for a bit. Safety advisory team, I can't thank them enough for their work, and we hope to have the CPR AED, all of those in place at all the fields, hopefully by the end of this school year is the goal. So I'm happy to consider additional goals if you would like, or answer any questions you have.
I would entertain that motion, and then we'll open it up to some conversation, if you don't mind.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the superintendent's goals for 2018-19 school year.
Do it. Any questions, comments?
Through the chair, honestly, I'm just really pleased to see again that we're focusing on the social, emotional, and mental health needs. For me, that's paramount. If we don't get that right, I don't think we get the rest. Nothing else matters. So I'm just thrilled to see that, and I hope you know that we support any new ideas that you want to throw out there, and we support that.
I agree. Gail?
I was just wondering where not as many parents attended these events, and everything I've heard about Chris Herron is awesome. When the parents come, they don't come with their students, right?
So
or they can, or...
So through the chair, it really depends on the program. So the one that's coming up, the Secret Lives of Teens and Tweens, is really a parent-only program. And I think what we are planning to do, and I think some of it is that people are extremely busy in their lives.
Oh, yeah.
When possible, and this will vary by program. The two programs last year, neither would allow taping and then to play it back.
Right.
Some of the programs that we hope to have, because we might be able to use some internal staff, perhaps our guidance counselors and such, so those we would be able to film and play back on the local cable channel, even provide links and things. So we're trying to be as creative as possible. We're thinking that if they're mirror, to the degree possible, work that's happening with kids, and even get some ideas from kids, they might be able to help us get parents to come to these.
Okay. I have an idea for getting parents.
Sure.
What if, I don't know if it's legal or not, but I think it is.
Uh-oh.
What if, I don't know, what if when the parents come, they get a lottery ticket? They write their kid's name on it. It goes in a hat. One parent, one ticket. Two parents, two tickets. And you draw the names, and the children get prizes that they could use in school. I don't know, free no homework passes, or Auburn things, or whatever, some sort of reward that the children get because their parents were there.
Sure. So through the chair, some of those ideas have actually been talked about, so that if a parent comes, the child gets a free homework pass. If it's
Yeah, that's what I was
something we
thinking.
really value and things.
Mom, go, I need a homework pass,
Right,
you know?
Right. So no, some of those have been ideas that have actually been discussed. So we actually have a leadership team meeting a week from today that we'll be rolling out and discussing the subcommittees. One of them is to start the conversation. And I think that with the representatives that we'll have on that, we'll really be looking at, so if we're going to take the time and the energy and spend the money to bring these individuals here, how do we then ensure that we have a vital audience in place?
I mean, I can see as a teacher telling my students, your parents really should come, because next week I'm going to give you this homework assignment, and you're really not going to like it. But if you have a pass, you don't have to do it. I mean,
Sure.
and give us an input of it. And, I mean, I could help with that,
Absolutely.
Makes sense. I'm just
Absolutely.
glad you weren't going to suggest kidnapping or something. Illegal, I was just.
No, I just didn't
concerned.
know if we could give away things like that, but,
That might work.
yeah.
Was-
If you're looking for school committee involvement, I'd love to be part of the team about social emotional learning.
Okay,
Um,
thank you. You mentioned that. Thanks.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, through the chair. I guess it goes in with that and with the budget ideas or concerns, or not concerns, but I'd like to see another guidance counselor possibly added to the Swiss level, just because the numbers are getting so high, and I feel like the two guidance counselors, although they're fabulous and they work their butts off, I think a third one would just really help to address, a lot more problems on a personal level. So that's what I would like to see.
And at that age, children do talk to other people.
Right.
They're not secretive yet. They don't know
Yeah.
they should be, so.
And by fifth grade,
Yeah.
a lot of them, their mindsets are made, and they have their ways of thinking, and they're rigid. They can get rigid. So I feel like more attention in that age group would be beneficial.
Any other comments or questions? I agree with the sentiments of the rest of the committee, and I think your goals were well thought out and well written, and I look forward to watching you meet them, and I thank you for the effort that you put into it. I agree with the social and emotional learning piece. That's huge, and as far as that presentation in October, I can't wait to learn about my son and what's going on in his head. I might take that presenter home for a weekend to help me figure things out. But no, it is huge.
Yeah,
If we can make
it
them
is.
comfortable at school, then
Right.
they're going to do well.
Yeah.
So true. Thank you all for your comments. Thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
And then in terms of upcoming, we do have the, actually, they just took place, the pre-K curriculum nights. Swanson Roads will be next week, and then the alumni weekend, as Ryan had indicated, is next weekend. It should be a fun weekend, lots of activities in Auburn Middle School curriculum nights soon thereafter. And the high schools is actually, I think, on the 4th.
Okay. We now move on to everyone's favorite time of the evening.
It's good to see Cecilia.
I know, it's been a little while since I've been in
Yeah.
a meeting. To start off, I provided a year-to-date budget report dated September 13th as part of your packet, and I'd be happy to answer any questions relating to that.
Any comments, questions? Seeing none.
Through the chair, just a question, I mean, I'm new at this. To cover contractual obligations, what does that exactly mean?
That's monies that we set aside when you're doing the budget. Some of the contracts hadn't been negotiated at that point, so we had to put aside monies to cover those costs for the increases on steps and lanes and increases COLA. Okay, all right. Any other questions? Or no? Okay, I've also put a list of transfers needing to be made to the budget to balance the budget. The transfers within are for your information, and then the transfers between the series, I require your approval or your vote.
I would entertain that motion.
Make a motion to approve the transfer between the series as requested by the business manager.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
Okay. In your packet, you'll find that I've also enclosed an updated listing of the revolving accounts with their current balances. I'm looking also for your acceptance of these revolving accounts for the 2018-19 school year, the listing as they're presented.
I would entertain that motion.
Make a motion to accept the current listing of revolving accounts as presented by the business manager.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
Okay. And as far as I'd like to provide an update on the bus transportation, currently, we're off to a good year. We have a total of 1,635 students signed up for the bus transportation for this school year. Of those 1,635, 1,477, which is 90%, signed up before the June 1st deadline, or on or before June 1st. And we had a total of 158 signing up after the June 1st deadline. Of the 158, 59 were new students to the district, so that we weren't aware of. They came in and needed to have bus passes provided. The other remaining 99 were student, or parents and students that had to pay late fees for not coming in on time. And but we've been off to a good start. We have 11 buses currently running. The numbers on the buses have been within good range for the capacity of the bus. However, on the elementary levels, I do randomly check from time to time, because there are times that buses might go up from time to time depending upon who's riding. The hard part is that the ridership, there's a lot of kids that sign up. Sometimes there's dual passes issued, and so we have to kind of constantly keep track of the numbers on the buses. And if there becomes a bus where this year we had one route that was a little bit lengthy, that we were able to move some of the stops off to another bus to make it more accommodating for everyone. So we want to make sure our students get to school safely and in a comfortable manner as well for all. So that's really important for us. So any questions on busing?
I do have a question about, have we looked into hiring or borrowing someone from the district to be a bus monitor? I know that there are a couple routes out there that are troublesome, and you hear about it on Facebook and all that stuff. So I didn't know if that was something we could look into or should look into, or have we thought about it, or?
Through the chair, well, we had looked into a little bit last year what the cost would be, and we are able to hire our own staffing to be monitors, but it would come at a cost to the district. So that is something, I'll leave that to you.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So through the chair, we did have some discussions around it last year. We actually have a bus meeting. It was supposed to be tomorrow, but schedule's conflicted. So next week, we'll actually meet the elementary principals with the bus drivers. So I think the most important thing is to make sure that there are open lines of communications, and that if there is a problem, child to children, that the bus driver is letting the principal or administrator know so that they can address it and get with the parents and things. So most of the buses, I think, run smoothly. I would say that if there are issues, make sure that parents are calling the principal to make them aware of it so that they can try and dig and get at the issue and stuff. But it is something that we regularly monitor. We do.
Do our buses have video cameras?
They do.
Yes,
They do.
All of them are equipped with video cameras, yes.
With sound? They have sound?
Yes, they should have sound, yes. Once in a while, there is a glitch, and the sound doesn't get, the sound isn't viable.
Could just
but
tell 1,000 words anyway.
they do have that, and they also have the GPS and that type of thing, not so much for parents, but so that the bus company is aware of the movement of the bus and what's going on within. But, we do continue to encourage our drivers to, if there are issues with behavior, that they should be writing things up as well for incident reports. But I do welcome any parents that, would like to contact me if there is a concern. I know that they've reached out to schools. I've had some parents reach out to me, and I've tried to work with them on the specific issues that they've expressed. So, but in the beginning of the year, it's always a difficult time in the sense because everybody's getting back into the swing of things. We have had a couple new drivers to certain routes, and so it takes a little while for those drivers to kind of settle in as well, too, in learning what the stops are and making sure they stop. But, overall, I feel like this past week we've had a really good week. We haven't heard any issues. We have the radio in the office, and so we hear right off if there's an issue, and things have been going pretty smoothly, I believe. So, but I will continue to follow up on that as well. So,
Sure. There is a policy in place, though, if there was an aggressive child or something like that they would. I've seen that as a parent.
Right.
That's followed.
The principals do that. If there's an incident report or children are reported to the principals take care of dealing with that with the student themselves and the parents.
And
they involve the
potentially
parents.
be removed.
Right. There have been students that have been removed. Yes.
Definitely.
So, okay. Any other questions?
So when you meet with the bus company, you'll make it known that there were some concerns in the district and from members of the school committee that, and I wouldn't want the bus driver's job, and I thank them for what they do, but I just think that we should reassure them, and I know I don't have to tell you this, but reassure them that we have their back, and if there is some discipline that needs to be doled out, it will happen, and I guess some of the concerns were probably that they'd like to see them run a tighter ship, but with the exception of screaming and yelling. So whatever they can do to keep things under control. I had also heard a few things, and yeah, it's a great concern because you've got the majority of students on the bus who just go on there and sit and mind their own business, and you may have a few others who are trying to go from seat to seat and things of that nature. So, again, I'm sure I don't have to tell you, but just making my thoughts known.
No, and that was why we felt it was really important for us to get together. We did get together with the bus drivers last year and met with them and talked through. There are some new drivers, so we felt like we wanted to start right fresh from the beginning of the year and get the drivers in and have them meet with the principals and talk about behavioral issues and that type of thing, and try how so we can promote good behavior all around and just safe behavior, so that everybody's safe. And
yeah, that's the other thing I heard on a positive note is I hear that we've got some really great bus drivers, and they've been in the district for a while. So if we could just get everyone on the same page with them, the new drivers included, that would be fantastic.
And that's just a hard thing, too, is like when you have a driver for a long time and families are very comfortable with that driver and students are very comfortable, and you have a switch that, it's always hard to bring that other driver up to speed to the other driver, and everybody's different. So, but we will work with them, and I am in constant communication on it, pretty much on a daily basis with our busing coordinator over at AA. So we're, I'm hearing from parents, I'm talking with her, and we're working on issues. So, but I'm more than happy to entertain anybody who would like to contact me or whatever. I'm more than happy to talk with them. So,
great,
and
thank
hear their emails. Okay. All right. The next thing I have in here is I've included in your packet the carryover memo that I sent to CFO Casanovitz dated August 1st. Which, I explained which we were carrying over the encumbered monies that we hadn't spent, that had been encumbered and were set to be spent. So we carried over $100,119.91, and of that, I am happy to report that we've already paid out $56,433.66. So the remainder will be paid off in the next, I would think within the next month or so through our payables warrants. But that's money that's, and to just briefly explain it, it's the monies that are encumbered, like we might have encumbered things towards like the end of the year that might have not come in, the items weren't received, so we hadn't paid off. We always make sure we receive our items prior to paying, so those type of things, or, so that's why we carry the money over into the new year. And then we were also able to carry, I had requested some carryover for the sped stabilization, which I'll talk to briefly. Well, I can talk to you about that now, but I'm very happy to report that we were able to, and I put a memo in your packet, we were able to establish a sped stabilization fund this year through the efforts of the Auburn leadership team and savings realized from special ed tuitions that ended up not being necessary. We were able to put aside $324,209.45, which is 67% of the allowed 2% fiscal year 18 net school spending amount. At this time, I'd also like to acknowledge and thank the members of the Board of Selectmen, the Finance Committee, and the School Committee for all your support, the Town Manager and the CFO for all of your time and efforts to make this stabilization fund a reality. We've all worked very hard. I think it's a great thing for the town and for the school department. It puts us in a positive position in the sense that if we have any unexpected special education costs that come forward, that we won't have to go back to the town all the time to request extra funding, or it won't be limiting our budget. So, and we hope to continue to move on to meet the maximum of the 2% level eventually down the road. So, but I'm very happy, and I want to thank everyone involved. I know that Mr. Scobie and Mrs. Harrington were very active in our discussions, and the school committee was very supportive of the whole program, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thanks for your efforts. I
Thank
never
you,
expected for the balance to be that high in such a short amount of time, so that's great.
Yeah, it's a very important thing, and we're really just excited, so thank you. In your packets, I've also provided two of the omnibus transfers that were done towards the close of the year last year, numbers 6 and 7, just for your information. And then moving on, I've also included two of the warrant payables schedules that Mrs. Holloway came in to sign that, where we've given permission.
I don't have to get there early, so it works out.
And maybe at this time, where it's the beginning of a new year, do we want to, I mean, we can keep Mrs. Holloway on as signing if she'd like to remain, or you can decide as a group.
I don't
that's
mind.
something-
That's all
That's
yours.
fine, yeah.
Okay, all right.
I keep trying, maybe.
She's very dependable, so.
She's been very gracious too. I've called her a few times to come in. And actually, Mr. Scobie has signed a couple times and saved Mrs. Holloway a trip in, so that's been nice too.
Yep.
So we're very appreciative. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry,
We
that'll be all.
now move on to policies.
So in your packet, there are several policies. The first two were on second reading. They were presented to you last time, so it is my recommendation that you approve them. It's for equal opportunities for military children as well as children in foster care.
I would entertain that motion.
I'll make a motion to approve JFABE and JFABF.
Do I have a second?
Presented second reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is a vote.
The next two are updates regarding, that came directly from MASC. So the first one, if you remember, noted in red there, that's really referring to the SBIRT, that screening and brief intervention that Dr. Lozay had written to you, had shared with you, I should say, last year. So that really is the addition that's added on that one. And then the personnel policy goals with some recommendations, really just cleaning up the language, again, as recommended by MASC and reviewed by us internally.
I would entertain a motion to recommend.
I'll make that motion to approve the above-named policies as updated by the MASC.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is a vote.
And then the final two ones, MASC, as you know, regularly sends several policies out. These two are around online fundraising and student submission to educational service and research. We've reviewed them in-house and agree with their content, so it is my recommendation you approve on first reading to come back at the next meeting for final.
I would entertain that motion.
Make a motion to approve the above-named policies as presented on first reading.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is a vote. And we need an executive session? We do not.
Oh.
I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Good night, everyone.